Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SimPlay Motorsport as we are here for the 7th round of the season. It is Indianapolis time, and it is the 90-minute race here at the Brickyard of Indianapolis. We are excited for this one. The weather, as you can see, the rain is here, and the conditions are damp, and have been damp for some while, so it's not heavy enough rain yet to make the track wet, but it's also going to be an interesting one because it's warm out there as well tonight. 23 degrees ambient, 25 track temp. We'll see what it drops to in a few moments time into qualifying and into that race session. But this is going to be an interesting race tonight because the conditions look awful, and for once the pro drivers don't have the best conditions. That went the way of Who Darren Cup and Pro-Am as we say good evening to Tan and Ebone, winner from last night's race. Gary Clarbell in there as well as Neil Broom in there as well. Podium result for him, P3 last night, saying evening, looking forward to a good night of racing. Good luck everyone tonight. Well, good evening to yourself, Neil. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be a fantastic night's worth of racing. I think this could be one of the best pro races of the season. If you cast your minds back to Brands Hatch, all them weeks ago, where it was very changeable conditions, we're in for something similar, or should be in for something similar to that tonight, the way the server has been set from the forecast, which means we should be looking at very changeable, very mixed conditions, and with that randomness being a little higher than Brands Hatch, I expect it to change a little bit more. So as we go through proceedings here, we'll keep our eyes on what will happen, but the rain is here to stay at the moment, and this should be a cracking night's worth of racing. Remember, the golds qualify first, the platinums qualify second when we get into the qualifying session, and the championship standings look like this. Ben Rook leads the way on 668.5 points, with Vitas on 632.5. Schmidt is third on 601, with Radic in fourth place on 570.5. Mezin is up to 563, bringing himself back into this championship contention, just 105.5 points behind Ben Rook. So he's had a few good results in recent weeks. Can he go one more here tonight? Leger is P6 from Marinich in 7th. Mackenzie is 8th from Comore. Mike Matthews rounds out the top 10. Ian McGowan is 11th from Sokolov, Overtaker, Cairns, Milliston, Pletisek, Skunky, and then Gleeson. Into that Gold Championship we go, and it is Class who is leading the way by almost 50 points from Michael Harris in a great battle between them two. And Hibbs is also within that contention. He's only 109.5 points behind Class, so keep your eyes out on that top 3 fight there. Richie Michelle is 4th from Tom Cardno in 5th. Messino P6 from Manavola. Matt Wright is 8th after a good race 1 win at Snetterton last time out. And that is a class win, should we say, not an overall win. It was P5 overall after penalties. Again, apologies for the stream not being with us last week. Gillies is P9, DeCourt is 10th from Benny Volga in 11th. Maiger is in P number 12 from that of Ugoni. And then, as apologies, I've got to, for some reason, there is not... I've made a mistake somewhere. Michael kill me for doing this. Let me just do that for now. Let me rearrange that to that. There we go. Ugoni is P13 from Vasic, 14th. Jimenez, 15th from Langley, 16th. Then it's Rob Smith, Rob Ramsell, Gluhack at the bottom of the pack. The Constructors' Championship looks a little like this. BAL Racing are on 1,163 points, with Racing Softs on 1,013. Balkan Esports on 1,000.5. Greasy Bandits Racing are on 989.5, with Balkan Sim up 936.5. Cloud9 Racing are on 992 in P6 from the Sleepy Lizard Repsol Racing. Balkan OZ Racing, SimPlay Racing, and then Team KSE Squadra Corse rounding out the top 10. The Casuals, a P11 from Team Richie's Corsa, from the Flying Dutchman, Quantum Motorsport, Momentum Motorsport, Only Momentum, NS Spinners, and Bearded Racing. We're expecting 26 drivers out there on track tonight, and you are joined by me in the commentary box, soloing it tonight, so stick around for the action as we go through this evening. As Neil Broom in the chat, oh my, what's this? Pro as rain, miracles do happen. Indeed they do, Neil. And this could be a fascinating night's worth of action to keep our eyes on. Schmidt is currently the pace setter from Sokolov, with Vitas, Radic, Patrick Leger, Class Maiger back in his Ford Mustang in P7. Then it's Marinich from Gillies, Ben Rook from Manavola, Harris, Richie Michelle, Vasic is there in P14. Comore from Messino. Then it's Cardno, Gleeson, Mezin down in 19th at the moment. Then it's Jimenez running the Oh, he's told me whose livery it is. It's not the Helio Castroneves livery that he was going to run. He has changed it, and I cannot remember the guy's name who he's changed it to now for his special livery at the Brickyard in honour of back-to-back Indy 500 wins. Hibbs is 21st from Mackenzie, and it's Mike Matthews, Benny Varga, and Matt Wright currently rounding out the 25 drivers. Apologies for the number on Gleeson. He is meant to be a platinum driver. His 3-race stint has gone up to put him up into platinum, so I do apologise for that one, and he is a platinum driver, not bronze, so don't worry about that. But it's going to be an interesting day to see what will happen in these tricky conditions. Still damp at the moment, like we said. The rain is still set to be here. 6 kilometres an hour wind coming through this middle part of the circuit, going across the car. So it's going to make conditions tricky out there for the drivers, and that's just going to play into the factor of what will happen in this race. We saw the Porsches do rather well last night, and I'm keen to keep... Oh, excuse me. I'm keen to keep my eye on Radic, who is currently running in P5. He looks like a guy who could be in for a good night of racing. But last night was dry. Tonight is a little bit wetter, and I say a little bit, a lot wetter. And it's going to be interesting to see what these drivers can do. We know it was front engine dominant last night in the dry, but so far the mid-engine cars of the Ferraris, Honda and McLaren lead the top 4 from then that rear engine car of the Porsche. It's only till Miga in P7 is your lead front engine car on this pack today at the moment. With qualifying just under 4 minutes away, we're going to get ready for some fantastic qualifying sessions. We'll see what the weather brings in this race. We'll see what happens. Looking forward to seeing the Nissan out here as well. The Nissan could be a good car in these conditions. Big, bulky front-engine car could do a little bit of nice work here. Especially got some good straights on this circuit, so it could be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. Who will do what throughout these sections of the race? Let's keep our eyes on it going forward into qualifying, where it is that 20-minute qualifying period, and the Gold drivers will be the first cars out there on track straight away. Apologies if you keep hearing a pause. I'm just having a bit of a drink and trying to keep myself awake. Been a long old day in this one so far. And Richie Michelle currently 13th. Class is still leading that Gold group at the moment, only by a 10th from Miga. Pretty close between some of the Golds here, and the Platinums are all scattered around everywhere. Mike down in 23rd, Mezzin and Gleeson 19th and 20th, Mackenzie 17th, Comore in 15th, Ben Rook is in 10th place. He could do with a good result here, but it's only practice. You know, conditions not really getting better, not getting any worse, so kind of staying as they are. So to find an improvement in these kind of conditions when they're not really improving is just going to be a little difficult for the drivers here in this practice session at the moment, and that's going to be the interesting thing to look at. As we see Patrick Leger now up into 3rd place, but the track not really improving too much just because there's not a lot of cars on there. The less cars on track, the more this track's going to get wet. The more cars that go out there, the better the surface will be, especially on that racing line. So keep our eyes on what will be in this potential qualifying session. We're looking at the weather. It is set to still rain because we don't have the 2-hour gap between practice qualifying and the race here. Due to it being an evening race at Indianapolis, it will go from that daylight into darkness, so it is going to be potentially damp for the whole of qualifying. So the next half an hour says it's going to rain, so we'll keep our eyes on it and we'll keep peeled on what this session will be, but who knows what will happen in this race. We'll just keep our eyes focused on it throughout the entirety of qualifying then. As we can see, Patrick Leger just coming through that first final sector now, sorry. And looking to try and get a better lap time on the board. He doesn't improve there, and he looks like he's going to bail back to the pit lane. Radic is out on circuit. He's down in that final corner. Comes across the line. Will he improve in this practice session? No, he won't. Stays P5 for now. Who else is out there on track? Richie Michelle is out there. The 31 is out there of Hibbs. Hibbs could do with finding a bit more time. That's not the pace we used to see him from Hibbs. So see what Hibbs could do. There's no improvement there. What about Mackenzie then, who's P17 at the minute? He looks like he's going to finish a lap. Moves up to 16th place. So a little improvement there for Mackenzie. Messino out on track at the moment as well. And can Messino be the one to try and just nab an extra spot or two in this practice session? The final laps are taking place. Mezin will be the last man to go around and get a lap time on the board. But this is now going to be the real interesting factor about this race of who is going to really do what and who is capable of doing what in this session for qualifying, because as we know, qualifying really interesting now since the change of format to the qualifying session, with it being split between gold and platinum. So it is going to be interesting, excuse me, to see what will happen between these drivers, especially if the conditions are tricky. If it goes from that dry to wet, wet to dry sort of surface, lap times could be all over the place, and we'll have to see if it will dry up. One thing we do know is it looks like it's going to be a wet qualifying with that light rain coming through for the next half an hour. But it's all going to be about what they will be able to do in their qualification period of this race. As Mezin comes to the final sector now to finish his practice session. Currently down in 20th. There's more time in it though for Mezin at the moment, and I think that's the key thing to keep our eyes on. Mezin has got to just try and stay calm with this. He's bringing himself back in a championship fight, but really doesn't want to, you know, just overdrive the car if he has a bad qualifying or just cannot find that pace. To the final, to the timing line he comes now. And he does. Well, we don't know what's going to happen. But there we go, look. Already we're seeing a difference in the weather conditions. So if you look at the first 10 minutes, it is a light shower. It doesn't look like a light shower, but it is a light shower out there for these drivers. As Messino is not the first driver out of the pit lane at the moment. Just going to try and find out who that was. It was not Cardno either, nor Harris, nor Matt Wright. It was Richie Michelle, so we'll stay with him. But look at that, it's a light shower. Then after 10 minutes, that shower is just going to increase ever so slightly. So the track, even though it doesn't look like a light shower out there at the moment, it looks like it's absolutely pouring it down. The track may actually just start to dry out a little bit before that rain gets heavier in 10 minutes' time. So this could be crucial for these gold drivers to just be able to get that extra lap on the board if they can, and to, you know, be able to finish in a good qualification spot. That's what we've got to keep our eyes on in this session at the moment. As we can see there, Richie Michelle coming through the first sector, and it doesn't look as dry. This is on board with Richie Michelle. You know, we didn't go on board during the practice session. You can see that rain a lot lighter on the windscreen, and this could play in the favour of the golds here, you know, for an outright pole position. So let's keep our eyes on what will happen. A lot of golds out on the circuit at the moment, and Richie Michelle will be the first man to start his lap time, so it could be crucial to be out here at the very end of this session then. So the rain will just increase ever so slightly over that next 10 minutes for when the pros come out, the platinums come out onto the track. So this could be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. There you see, look, it's going to increase into lighter rain, but more than just the shower that we have at the moment. So will the track go greasy? Good amount of cars on circuit at the moment. Will the track go greasy, though, with this shower around? Richie Michelle then starts his first flying lap here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As he comes down in towards turn number 1, the 90-degree right-hander. Try not to use too much that curb. It is very, very raised. And you can use this flat curb through turn number 2. Get a good run here. Set you up for turn 3. Through turn 3, brings you straight into turn number 4. Hurry up and wait for that power to come down, as the track has now gone greasy. So lap times in the golds are going to quicken up before the rain will fall for the platinum drivers here. So this could be a real interesting qualifying session. And as Richie Michelle flicks it through 5 6 and 7. Onto the back straight he goes now. Now do the drivers bail on their first lap to put a set of slick tyres on? Could that be worth a gamble in this qualifying session? There looks a lot less of them out there at the moment than what there was on the original outlap. So are we possibly just going to see a few of the drivers just going back onto that you know, slick tyre just to maybe make a change in their strategy here? Bump the pressures up and the grip will be there with the pressures on the tyre as Richie Michel into the final couple of corners now. But a nice tidy lap from Richie Michel. His tyres though going to start to overheat, going to start to rise in pressure pretty quickly if he's on the wets, that is. And as he comes towards that timing tower, what is his lap time going to be as he crosses the line now? And it is going to be a 41.1. Mezin just behind him goes and does a 41.0. We've then got the 57 of Manavola just behind before the 135 of Matt Wright. So here comes Manavola then towards the line. He looks like he's going to instantly bail as he goes provisional pole. Matt Wright now coming towards the timing beacon. Slowest in the practice session. But what will he be able to do in this qualification session at the moment? Let's take a look. A few more of the goals coming out on track. Matt Wright up into 4th. Where does Gillies go at the moment? Slots himself into 3rd. 300ths of a second separate the top 3. And already a lot of cars have returned to the pit lane to put that drier tyre on. Messinio was one of them. He's coming back out. He's back out on track on his outlap now. So clearly some of the drivers out there feeling like the slick tyre in these greasy conditions is going to be the one to be on. But they've wasted half their qualifying time already. The 933 now pits. I think that is Richie Michel. Let's just take a look. Yes, it was Richie Michel. He's now bailed. So he's possibly gone to that slick tyre as Messinio comes to the line. He's not going to set a lap time, obviously. So we might turn our attention back to Matt Wright, who is the next car on a valid lap. And is this going to be a clever strategy from Matt Wright or those who's got an early lap time in? Because if you keep invalidating or fail to get a lap time in with the fact you've gone back to the pits to put the dry tyre on, is that going to have had a knock-on effect in this session? We're seeing a couple of cars coming back out of the pits. Matt Wright will go back on board with. He's the next man to finish a lap before the 34 of Michael Harris. So will Matt Wright find the time he needs to find here in qualifying to just get himself up that order a little bit more? There's again just a couple more coming out the pit lane at the moment in this gold category. And they're only going to leave themselves 1, maybe 2 chances in this session to get a lap time on the board. Well, here comes Matt Wright out the final corner. Comes around now and is about to set a lap time in this qualifying session. Comes towards the line. Does he improve? Doesn't find anything. Is he going to bail to the pits? It might be a little bit too late for Matt Wright as Michael Harris doesn't set a lap time either. And then Hibbs behind, I believe, Class behind, goes into P6. But this is what I mean, look, 27 seconds off the pace. So keep our eyes on it. Let's go back down to Messinio, who was the first man out on the track on that slick tyre, it seemed to be. And see what the lap time difference is. Has Manavola got a good banker in here with time running out for these drivers? Matt Wright's only just trundling now down the pit exit. And here comes Manavola. That is Messinio in front, just going on to his next flying lap. What can Manavola do? Where's he going to put Messinio do? He gone 5 thousandths of a second faster at the moment. What about Vasic then in this session? He moves up into P number 6. What about Damien Hibbs? What can he get out of this qualifying session now? What an interesting qualifying session we've seen at the moment. We turn our attention to the 157. Hibbs has now gone provisional pole by 7/10 of a second. And Jimenez within 6/10 now. So has Damien Hibbs got himself on the right tyre at the right time and given himself the chance to just get them tyres a little bit warmer as well, because they will warm up every lap that goes by. And they will hold their get to keep the pressure a little bit more as it goes along. So Hibbs could be in the pound seat at the moment. We're not going to know. We're on board with Harris right now, 17th at the minute. Class just behind him. And where is Harris going to go in this qualifying session now? Let's wait and see as he comes around. Yet set a lap time. So is Thomas Cardno at the moment. And here comes Harris straight to the top of the timing screen by 0.2 of a second. And then Class, he now moves to the top by 0.2 of a second. What about Cardno? What has he found in this car? Goes within 100th now. So good lap there from Class in this one. As Non-Noodles says, go Hibs in the chat. Good evening, buddy. Hope you're doing well. And here comes Manavola with then Messinio just behind him. Messinio, the first man, set a lap time on the slicks. So he may be the driver to just keep your eyes on this lap. He's had an extra lap on them. Here comes Messinio to the line. Goes up into P number 3. 0.2 off the pole. What about Messinio now? Only up into P number 6. Vasic, next man to set a lap. Gillies looks like he's possibly done because he's not going to get a lap time in now. Here comes Vasic to the line. No improvement for him. What about Hibbs just behind him? Has he got anything in store here? Stays P5. Matt Wright is coming to the line. Does he improve? No. Stays P12. Jimenez now doesn't find an improvement. We then turn our attention to the 33 of Maiger. As Tanner Kneebone in the chat, Jimenez using the Penske Shell livery. Joseph Newgarden, thank you very much. Back-to-back winners of Joseph Newgarden as Maiger goes up into P number 7. Here comes Benny Varga, the only gold driver yet to set a lap time at the moment. Towards the line he comes. What does he do? Get up into P12. Richie Michelle moves up into P5 now. The 34 of Harris on for a lap time as the Platinum drivers quickly lining up at the end of the pit lane. The 381 he's done. Savasic is done for qualifying. Here comes Michael Harris then. Does he have any more time to put into this car? No improvement. What about Class? Does he improve? No, he doesn't. Thomas Cardno needs a very small amount, and these three get one more lap in, and Thomas Cardno doesn't improve. And that will be your gold qualifying pretty much at an end as the Platinum drivers can leave the pit lane in 5 seconds. Them three that have just crossed the line are okay. And let's go to the 31 of Hibbs. As Gillies is in the pits, Vasic is in the pits, others are in the pit lane as well. The 57 is about to cross the line of Manavola. No, he's not, he's into the pit lane, sorry. And look at that. For the Platinum drivers, it has just gone back to damp. So if they've come out on the slick tyre, they could be in for a spot of bother in this qualifying session if they're on the slicks. Now, this makes the qualifying session even more interesting. Good evening to Peaceful Stepdad. Hope you're well. As could be the case as well for the final gold runners out there on a lap at the moment. There's Benny Varga here, just coming towards the final corner. Richie Michelle has bailed. Benny Varga needs just a half a second to put himself inside that top 10. Does he have that half a second? The track is damp. And the rain only going to get heavier over these next couple of minutes. Benny Varga moves up one spot into P11. What has Michael Harris done? He bails to the pit lane. Class has already got pole. He bails to the pit lane. Cardno is already bailed to the pit lane. So we turn our attention now to Patrick Leger out there at the moment. Radic and Vitas still in the pit lane. Are they potentially waiting for it to go back to greasy or something here before they come out on track? Ben Rook as well is just leaving the pits. I can see now Vitas leaving the pits as well. Still no Radic out there at the moment. And the 566 of Benny Varga is still qualifying when he should be coming back into the pit lane. I'm very well, thank you, Peaceful Stepdad. Glad to hear you're doing well. Benny Varga still out there on a flying lap. Now, the track is getting worse, so if Benny Varga does find an improvement, that will be a cause to go to the steward's room. And the rain now just getting heavier. Patrick Leger has bailed. Is it now too wet? Was Patrick Leger on the slick tyre? He's now cost himself no end of time by doing this extra pit stop to get the wet tyre on the car. And is that just going to have cost Patrick Leger in this? You see Schmidt just wiggling around there. Is Schmidt on the slick tyre? Just hoping maybe for a banker lap. We'll keep our eyes on it. Leger bailed very early in his run. And this is now going to be very, very interesting. Benny Varga still lapping on the circuit at the moment. So, and he's on another flyer here. So Benny Varga at the moment is still lapping out there on the track, which we've not actually seen in the Pro Series all season. We've seen a couple in the Pro-Am category when some silvers have been on the track when it's the time for the bronze. Hope the race is wet, but gotta say it's going to be frustrating, says Gillies in the chat. It looks like it could be a frustrating one, as here comes Schmidt now towards the line. Next car will be the 26 of Mackenzie, and Schmidt immediately bails to the pits. 3 seconds off of the pace. This could really mix the grid up, as Mackenzie is only down in 15th. Now this could have made the grid really spicy. We could almost have a reverse grid situation going on here. In which case, that could be absolutely interesting to see what these drivers are going to do. As the 101 is the next car on the lap time. That is Sokolov. And are we going to get a bit of that reverse grid situation going on? Don't forget, Gleeson is a platinum. We've just inputted the wrong number, or the wrong colour, onto his number, so he is a platinum. People don't need to worry about him being a bronze driver. He is platinum in this championship. And has the 566 yet pitted? He has now, and he didn't improve. So it'll probably still be a talking to at the steward's room. Until the line goes, Sokolov only P11. That is, looks like it's Mezin. And where did Mezin go? I think it was Mezin, yeah, 27 seconds off the pace. So nobody really setting a valid a proper lap time at the moment. As here comes Vitas then, before Ben Rook, who Rook's got 1 lap in, 15 seconds down. Vitas up to 11th. What can Rook do? Track getting wetter as the rain pours here. Ben Rook up to 15th place. Enjoying this qualifying session. Reverse grid without actually meaning to set a reverse grid. Did a bank lap on the wets and switched to the slicks, but they felt awful. Only did 1 fast lap in the end, as Gleeson 30 seconds off the pace. That's not a proper lap time from Gleeson. I'm sure we'll see that come down a little bit. Here comes Marinic then towards the line before we get to see Radic. And I think Marinic here, yeah, only 15th fastest, so struggling to get inside that top 10 at the moment in qualifying. We go back to the 101 after. Here comes Radic then, only up to 15th again. So Vitas is currently your pole leader in Platinum, all the way down in 11th place. And I giggle because it's just funny to see, because we don't expect it in this qualifying between the classes. Maybe the odd gold surprising Platinum, but not the entirety of gold surprising Platinum. Benny Vargas says, oops, forgot to watch the time, didn't set a better lap though. We'll sort that at the end of the day. We'll probably bring that into the steward's room and just have a chat, Benny. Either way, here comes Sokolov, 12th on the track at the moment. He's found 1.5 seconds to take pole position, and the track's just getting wetter. He's not going to find that amount of time. And doesn't improve. The Nissan just behind him doesn't improve. Mezin, who's currently 27 seconds off the pace, does improve and goes P1 in the class at the moment. Mike Matthews about to set a lap time as Patrick Leger now takes P1 for Platinum. Mike Matthews moves up to 20th. Here comes Vitas coming round the final bend now before Ben Rook will appear. Vitas stays 13th. Rook down in 19th place at the moment. Improves to 18th place. And then we've got the 54 of Gleeson. We will go to a break after qualifying, by the way. We'll have our 10-minute break before the race that drivers can get their fluids on board and go to the toilets and whatever they need to do. As there goes Gleeson. It will be Comore next to the line, who's 27 seconds off the pace. He now takes provisional pole in the Platinum category by 0.03 of a second. And here comes Marinic. Does he find an improvement? He does, up to 18th place. The 98 of Radic then. What can he do? 19th so far. Does he find an improvement? No, stays P19. The number 5 of Schmidt down in 23rd. Matt Wright down in 24th at the moment. Probably went on the slicks a little too late. As we'll wait and see what will happen for Schmidt here then. P23 finds an massive improvement up into P6 for Schmidt there. So proving it can be done. And Schmidt moves up into the top 6, only half a second off the pole position. Here comes then That of Sokolov, P16, say 16th. Mackenzie moves up into P13 now. What about Mezin down in 15th place? Can he find an improvement? No, he can't. Patrick Leger moves back up into P10. Mike Matthews, has he got any extra time in the locker? He does, but stays where he is. That's Vitas coming round now. Down in 16th place. Does he improve? Moves up to P11, so a good qualifying there for him. Ben Rook, what can he do? No time gain there for Ben Rook in this one. Next car is the 54. That is Gleeson. So the driver's just starting to struggle a little bit. Some are improving, some are not. Gleeson stays 23rd. Comore, just behind him, moves up into P number 10. So the racing softs have come to play today. Here's Marinich. Out the final corner over the line. 1.7 moves up to 17th place. The 98 now of Radic. Ben Rook losing out to all his championship rivals at the moment. But it's a long 90-minute race as Radic stays in 21st. We turn our attention back to Sokolov. In fact, no, we turn our attention, back to Schmidt, who is P5, coming through the final corner. Maybe the top five, the first 5 cars, maybe up to Vitas, may get an extra lap in here. Here comes Schmidt now to the line. Does he improve? No, nothing there for him. So now we turn our attention to Sokolov. And then Mackenzie straight behind him. What does Sokolov do? 1.5 down. Getting wetter every lap at the moment. That track, as you can see, it getting worse and worse as Mackenzie meant to press on up into 13th. Mezin coming towards the line. He's down in 16th place. Stays 16th. What about Patrick Leger? 2 attempts to get ahead of Comore. Does he find it? No, he does not. I think that could be it. Mike has bailed in this session. Does Vitas have enough time to get another lap on the board? No, he doesn't. So Vitas is done. What about Ben Rook? He's bailed on his lap at the very end. So Ben Rook down in 22nd place. Gleeson now. Has he found enough time to improve here? Track looks too wet for me at the moment. But if this is the way the weather's going to go, yeah, Gleeson's not going to improve. What about Marinich? Marinich to the line. What's his lap time going to be? Swindlemacher, evening SimPlay and chat. A bit wet at Indy, is it? It is indeed, but it was greasy at the start of qualifying for the Golds. And it has got wetter as the session goes on. It's registered now as wet. As Radic finds an improvement over Vasic here. So that puts Radic up another spot. So just Sokolov, Mackenzie, and then Patrick Leger out on a lap time. But yeah, a wet qualifying and an interesting qualifying. Remember, we will go for a quick 10-minute break in just a minute for the start of the race. Obviously, we normally have our free practice 2 session, which is a break. And we'll go to the break very soon. Mackenzie bails on his lap. Here comes Sokolov to the line. Is he going to improve on P18? Doesn't need much, and he doesn't. Stays P18. So your platinum gold, your platinum pole sitter is that of Schmidt, starting in P6. And we'll run through the grid in a few moments. Well, welcome back to SimPlay Motorsport. So, in our 10-minute break, a lot has already happened. The track was damp to start with. The rain has eased off to now a light shower. It is going to dry in 10 minutes, or within 10 minutes. It is then going to shower again. It's gone from damp to greasy. We've not moved at the moment. So, what a start already to this race. And we've not even seen the green flag. We've not even seen the formation lap get underway. But one thing is for sure is how many people are frantically now changing their mind on what to go on. And it is now not even raining. So the shower has moved away. So if anybody is starting on that wet tyre, they have got to frantically change to get there. And it changed about 1 minute ago, 1 minute 30 ago, into that greasy condition. This is going to be an interesting one. No heroics into turn one, says Benny Varga. Mackenzie, who is Walkman Lizard, says, well, this could be chaos at the start with this new forecast. And Gary Clarble saying it should be a good race with the order of the cars. Not just the order of the cars, but the weather. As we're underway for the formation lap, and the grid order looks like this. Class on pole from Thomas Cardno, with Manavola third from Michael Harris. Row 3 is Richie Michelle and Schmidt, your platinum pole sitter. Hibbs is then alongside Messina with Maiga alongside Comor, Leger and Vitas with Mackenzie and Jimenez. Gillies from Marinich with Sokolov, then Benny Varga. Radic from Vasic with Ben Ruck from Gleeson. Mike Matthews, Matt Wright and Mezin will start from the pit lane, as he was meant to serve a qualifying ban, but due to the fact that the penalty record was only updated today, we have allowed him to start from the pit lane in this race. That is a penalty in its own, because the pit lane is so long here. It is incredibly, it is going to really hamper him at the start. Or maybe not, depending on the chaos. But one thing we do know is this session has already become such an interesting one already, because it's not just a shower in 30 minutes, it is light rain, which will make that track go to that damp conditions. We could be in for multiple pit stops tonight on these tyres. Who has started wets, who has started dries? That's going to be the biggest question on everybody's mind. Sadly, the timing tower only shows us fuel. It doesn't show us what tyres people are running. So, unfortunately, we won't know. How long will this track take to dry? It is 23 degrees ambient and 23 degrees track temperature. So I can't assume it's going to take too long for the track to dry. But the other question is when will that shower come? Because that shower is in anywhere in between that 10 and 30 minute window for the shower to come. And we've got a 90-minute race, the one-off 90-minute race. So no sprint, no features tonight, just one race for these drivers to tackle. I think we're in for absolute chaos here in this one. I think this is going to be a belter of a race in this session tonight as we get ready to go here at Indianapolis. They're just entering the third and final sector. I bet Class and Cardno didn't expect to be on the front row of the grid this evening. I suppose I don't think Manavola, Harris and Richie Michelle expected to be in the top 5 on the grid this evening. And I bet Ben Ruck didn't think he'd be down in 21st in this qualifying session. But he's got work to do, the championship leader in platinum. And the championship leader in gold has got his closest rival starting on the row behind him, but just behind Thomas Cardno in that Lexus. We're about to get ready for the green light here at Indianapolis. If you haven't already, check out our fantastic sponsors in the description below. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing and much more, including SimPlay Motorsport merchandise. And Big Apple Logistics, who specialise in moving plant and heavy machinery globally. So go and check them two guys out on Facebook. As we are about to get ready here as well. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and hit the bell to be notified when we are live, as we are green and go here in Indianapolis. And Class has got a pretty good start over that of Cardno. Harris already getting a good run over Manavola in that Lexus, which has good straight line speed. He's already getting to the outside of Cardno, looking into turn number 1. Cardno in the middle, comes across into the middle of the track to just give Harris that room on the outside line, but manages to just hold on to P2, does he, at the moment? This is allowing Class to get away, and Cardno does hold on to P2. just behind us then. Manovola under pressure from Schmidt. Early doors already in this race with Hibbs looking to make a move up the inside of that of Messinio in P8 and 7 at the moment. And Hibbs gets that move done on the Ford Mustang. So a good job there. There is already a car around in the background. That is Mike Matthews and that of the 54 of Gleeson, who has had a bit of a coming together. And Patrick Leger sat in the traffic so far of a few cars with Mackenzie just behind him. But your leader class out front early, 7/10 already over Cardno. Then Michael Harris with Schmidt attacking the outside line of Manovola. Down at the bottom of the circuit as Richie Michel nearly into the back of him, and Miga hits Richie Michel around, taps him back the right way. As Clauble says, those NSX will carve through the pack. I agree, says from Jerry Moore. And that is that class? Is that, no, it's not, it's Hibbs. Hibbs is backwards at the Triple S's. So is Jimenez, Matt Wright and Vasic stationary. And there's Ben Ruckoff as well. It is dramas on the opening lap of Indianapolis. Here at the Brickyard, lots of cars all over the place. And some title contenders in that mix as well. Benny Varga going side by side with that of Gillies. Ben Ruck looking up the inside of Gillies and gets the move back done. He moves up the order a little bit more as Gillies going to try and fight him back here. What tyre is Ben Ruck on though? As Vasic straight into the pit. Was he on the wet tyre at the start? Who is to know? Harris looking up the inside of Cardno. Backs out that one pretty early doors into the braking zone of turn number 1. Further down the field, Patrick Leger side by side with Mackenzie. Is that for Mackenzie to go right around the outside at turn 1? He looks at it, now looks for that inside line at turn number 2, does Mackenzie. This will give Leger that inside line for turn 3 and into 4. Holds that tighter line, does Patrick Leger. Mackenzie can't get past and yields out of that position. Good driving from the pair of them there. Marinich on the back of Richie Michel with Vitas in 13th now. Radic up to 15th place already. Apologies, Clauble. Yeah, it was Cherry Moore. I do apologise. Both got GMC in your name, except the other way around. Ben Ruck now still trying to get past Gillies and does now through the long left-hander of turn number 5. So he moves back up into 17th place. He's not far back off the train already. Is out of Ben Ruck, so he's got work he's got to do. But we'll see what happens. Mike Matthews already on the back of Gleeson, and who we had contact with earlier on. They've both got past Jimenez early doors, who was involved in that triple chicane, the Triple S's instant. That's Patrick Leger, who's made contact with Adavasic and gets tapped from Richie Michel, who just caught him coming across the circuit there. And now Richie Michel has got Vitas coming up and underneath him, and Vitas goes through. And that is another position for Vitas there. Another 2, should I say, because of Patrick Leger dropping down the order a little bit. Schmidt is flying. Comore and Mackenzie battling it out as well on the circuit. We're only 3.5 minutes into this race. And Vasic is having a long pit stop at the moment with that damage. He is trundling down the pit lane now. The number 9 of Patrick Leger has had another drama. He's around again. And that has put him to the bottom of the pack bar. Mesin and Vasic. And what a shame for Patrick Leger there. Was going so well. Here comes Benny Varga, who has been passed by Ben Ruck. And Benny Varga in on hard on the brakes. Can't do anything there. Gleeson has been overtaken by Mike Matthews now as well. There's Anderson saying mixed conditions always provides the entertainment. Indeed it does. Cherry Moore, need more creative use tags. Indeed you do. Look at those rain clouds at 30 minutes. Beautiful sight to see. And Hypertech, John, good evening to you, sir. Says hurry up rain. Indeed so. Well, it was raining for the 10 minutes the drivers were stood on the grid as Marinich up the inside of Comore. Lovely little move. So Comore's fell back a place. And now Vitas looks to attack the back of the Honda. Onto the back straight, there you go. There's also that of Richie Michel, Sokolov and Radic in this. Ben Ruck not far off of his two of his close championship rivals at the moment, as Richie Michel having a look up the inside. That's Sokolov going right around the outside of Richie Michel. Job done from Sokolov there. Great overtake from the young man. And moves himself up into P, number 12 at the moment. Out front, though, class leads from Cardno in this race. If you miss qualifying, it was greasy for the golds, wet for the platinums. So the golds really did outqualify the platinum drivers in this session. As here comes Sokolov, big dive bomb on Comore. Can't get the job done there, though. Further back down the field, Ben Ruck now on the back of Radic, who's on the back of that then of Richie Michel. The clouds have passed over. It is now heavy rain in 30 minutes. It is now got light cloud at the moment. So we're expecting a shower within that 20-minute window of 10 minutes and 30 minutes. But look at the Honda. Little slower in a straight line than the Ferrari. Sokolov, Michel, Radic and Ruck. They're three abreast down the start straight. Richie Michel looks to make it 3. Now Radic might try and make it 4. And somehow Sokolov gets through. Goes deep a little bit. Holds on to it. Richie Michel and Radic make a little bit of contact in there as well. And they both manage to point in the right direction. Class to the outside line, though, of that of Richie Michel. Round turn 4 they go. Squeezing Michel on that inside curb. And somehow gets the move done. Beautiful move from Radic here. Ben Ruck, Benny Varga, Gillies, Hibbs, all involved in this battle as Ruck looks the long way around. Comore's deep as well. That's going to allow Radic to have a look around the outside of Comore, who I think could possibly be on that wet tyre from the start. And Radic has driven past him. Now here comes Richie Michel to drive past him. And this is looking on board with Ben Ruck down in towards the chicane. Richie Michel up the inside of Comore's Honda. Great fight in the midfield. Michel now gets through as well. And what a battle early doors this has been. Such drama already in the opening stages of this race. Further down the field, Mezin fast this lap, as we are aware. He started from the pit lane. Manavola gaining on the back of Michael Harris. We've got McKenzie trying to close in on Messino. Vitas looking to close in on Marinic as Ben Ruck now passes Comore. Is Comore on the wrong tyre? He is falling backwards down the pack. And Radic has now got Richie Michel crawling all over the back of him onto the long start straight here at Indianapolis. Has that Porsche got enough in a straight line to stay ahead of Richie Michel? That's going to be the biggest question for Radic. Ben Ruck will want to get closer as well to one of his championship rivals, the other one being Schmidt and Vitas. Ben, remember, qualified 21st, as now Gillies is... in fact, they've all got past Comore. Where is Comore? I think he's coming into the pit lane because he's had a bit of an incident and he's very slow. Yeah, he's entering the pits. So Comore into the pits. And if that is to change tyres, the rain is about to come within half an hour. Manavola still on the back of Harris with Schmidt breathing down his neck. Vitas still all over the back of Marinic. This is allowing Sokolov to gain on the rear as well. And then you've still got Richie Michel close to Vitas, and he's bringing Ben Ruck with him. And if I just look at the fuel strategy at the moment from some of these drivers, there is a lot of different strategies, and I like some of the way these drivers are thinking in this race. It could play dividends depending what tyre you're on. Vitas looks side by side with Marinic, bottom of the back straight in towards the left-hander. Vitas moves up into P9. Lovely move that from the number 6 car, the defending gold champion in Pro. Just putting on a masterclass of overtaking at the moment is that of Vitas. Hibbs was close to the back of Gillies there. He's got Matt Wright not far behind him with Benny Varga, P18. Gleason, Platinum driver. Apologies for the incorrect number colour. Then Mike Matthews. Then Jimenez in the Joseph Newgarden livery for back-to-back Indy 500 wins. Then it's Patrick Leger. Mezin not far off the back. Vasic a lap down. But he's not a million miles away. Class must have made a mistake because he's now got Cardno breathing down his neck. Manavola is still trying to close in on Harris. He's got Schmidt coming with him. The darkness starting to descend here in this evening race at Indianapolis at the moment. And what a start to this race it has been. It has been a dramatic start. McKenzie in the Nissan. He's had a great season in that Nissan, gaining on Messinio. But can he get ahead? That's going to be the biggest question. Marinic trying to stick with Vitas. Richie Michel still stuck to the back of Radic. Ben nearly went a little deep into the back of Richie Michel there. Managed not to do so, though. Great little three-way fight at the moment. Jimenez on the back of Leger. We'll go back to that three-way fight. Just having a look down the field as onto the back straight they now come. Michel looks a lot closer to Radic's Porsche than he did last time around. Track is green, so it is getting quicker and quicker with every lap that goes by as it's bumpy down the back straight. Richie Michel pulls out. He's had to have a look on Radic. He thought about it, but ended up braking hard because he was nowhere near alongside and gets into the corner nice and easy, bounces over the middle section of the S's curbs. That's going to allow Ben Ruck to have a look, but he's on the outside looking for that up and under, is he? On the exit, poor exit from Ben Ruck there, cost him a little bit. Back to the front, Cardno and Class, 0.2 of a second between them two. Manavola, Schmidt, Maiger now getting involved in this one as well. As let's go on board with Thomas Cardno. What's the straight line speed like in the slipstream of the McLaren in front? Exactly same cars, setups will be different. Cardno's gaining though in the slipstream, pulls out now, has the overspeed, looks up the inside. Thomas Cardno into the turn 1, 90-degree right-hander. Now on the outside for turn 2. We'll give him the inside for 3 and 4. And Thomas Cardno leads this race outright with a great move on Class. Class must have made a mistake somewhere. He had over a second's lead, and he's now been overtaken for that lead by Cardno. He's got Harris, Manavola looking really racy behind. Cannot get through though. What about back down to Ben Ruck and Richie Michel? Radic has pulled away slightly. Not a lot though. Hibbs being caught by Matt Wright. That gap's now 0.4. Mike Matthews is battling with Gleeson as Patrick Leger looks up the inside of Gleeson. Into turn number 4 they go. And Patrick Leger just a little wiggle. Gleeson gives him plenty of room. Nearly opened the door for Jimenez there as well. And Patrick Leger moves on through. Ben Ruck though still sat behind Richie Michel, but out front it is Cardno, Class, Harris, Manavola, Schmidt, Maiger, 6 seconds clear of Messinio. And an absolute fantastic scrap between these six out front. And it's Schmidt who's closest to the car ahead. Class has pulled 7/10 over Cardno. Cardno's pulled 7/10 over Class. So would that indicate that Class might be on either too high a pressure slick tyre or maybe the wets? Shower in 10 minutes. So the rain's about to reappear here at Indianapolis. And what a mixed weather race this is going to be. We could see everybody diving into the pit lane within that next 10 or 20 minutes or so. Ben Ruck still on the back of Richie Michel, who's got a little bit closer to Radic once again, but not close enough at the moment. Mackenzie's on the back of Messinio. He's really close to the back of Messinio. That Nissan just starting to get a little closer to the back of the Ford Mustang. Pulls to the inside line. Messinio keeps coming across. A little bit of contact. Mackenzie gets it stopped. Messinio takes the place back. And they stay as they was. Sokolov gaining on Marinic now with Richie Michel. Ben Ruck still duking it out. Hibbs down in 16th place. You've then got to go back down to Matt Wright, who's 9/10 off the back of Hibbs now, losing out that time. Gleeson's lost out to Jimenez with Vasic about to unlap himself from Gleeson. We have lost a couple of drivers from this race, it looks like. We're starting to lose a few more as well, it appears. We're down to 20. We started with 25, so a few disconnections have just took place there. Not sure who has gone. It's Cardno, Class, Harris. Mike Matthews is one of the drivers who's been disconnected. It's saying he's 18th place. No, won't let me click on him. Comor still there. Vasic still there. Mezin, Gleeson, Jimenez, Leger, Varga, Hibbs, Gillies, Ruck, Sokolov, Marinic, Vitas. So who has been disconnected? Mike Matthews has. Comor is still out there. So Comor was one. Richie Michel was another one of the drivers as well. Looks like... Who is that? That is Radic, who was one of the drivers. And Mackenzie. Oh, what a shame. And Manavola. So there's one driver still to get back in the lobby, but what a shame for them. Not a mass disconnection. So it will not count towards that mass disconnection. I believe it's got to be 25% of the grid, if I'm correct. So it is 6 drivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more to come in. It's 6.25. So I'm pretty sure one more driver, if one more had disconnected in that, then that would have been curtains in this race. But that has put up an even better chance for the likes of Mezin and Vasic and Comor in this race to score some good points. Now, due to that, Radic and Mackenzie both going well, having disconnections as well. Schmidt still in there up in P4. He's got ahead of Manavola due to Manavola's disconnection, sadly. And yeah, just had to restart the game, rejoin. It said everyone was in the pits, but they are not. Yeah, it was only the 6 of you that had the I believe 6 of you that had the disconnection, Mike. One more yet to join, so not quite sure who that one more is at the moment. Loads of engine failures indeed, Chris. Great to see you here. Back on the channel. Cardno, 9/10 from Class, 8/10 from Harris, 4/10 to Schmidt, 8/10 to Maiger. Sokolov gaining on the back of Marinic. Now, that's put Ben Ruck up into 10th due to that disconnection. I don't know who that fifth driver is. Try and find out who that one driver is that got disconnected through that bit there. So both SimPlay Racing drivers disconnected. Radic, McKenzie, Manavola. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we had 25. Then is Vasic, Comore. So Manavola, McKenzie, Radic, Richie Michelle, Matt Wright, Mike Mathew. So no, we're back up to 25 now. So Mike's just got back in again. So if one more had have disconnected, it would have been a full reset, but sadly not to be for those drivers. So unfortunately, they've just got to carry on going and pick up as many points as they can. Chris, been here all night. I wouldn't miss a Thursday. It's the highlight of the week indeed, Chris. Well, it's good to hear from you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. As Cardno now 2 seconds clear of Harris. What has happened to Class out front? He's got Schmidt crawling all over the back of him now. And an interesting turn of events in this race. Mezzing up to 17th from the pit lane. And the SimPlay Racing lads still not able to get out on track at the moment. Richie Michelle is getting ready to come out, although he's returned to the pits apparently, according to that there. Radic back out on track. He's ahead of McKenzie. And what a shame for them too. But, you know, it's not all doom and gloom. A lot can happen. Still an hour 13 to go. Yellow flag, which is Richie Michelle. Schmidt having a look on Class further forward. Big look on Class into the right-hander. Class runs a little deep on exit. Schmidt now to the outside line. Rain imminent, track still green, so pretty slippy out there on the surface of this track at the moment. And Schmidt couldn't get the move done. What about Meiger now in that Ford Mustang going on board with him? Has he got the momentum out the final corner to get the run down the start-finish straight over the other drivers? Matt Wright's back out on track. Richie Michelle and Mike Mathew still in the pit lane at the moment. And no, Meiger does not have the momentum to get up alongside that of Schmidt, but they are putting the pressure on Class in this race. And I can only assume it's gone so bad for Class at the moment. Wet tyres, can't be, he's not losing enough pace, so maybe over-pressured slicks, waiting for that rain to come back around. He's just behind. Look, Schmidt and Meiger really going at it. Benrook 2.5 seconds off of Sokolov now. He's only got 2 cars between himself and Marinic. Manavola on the back of McKenzie. So McKenzie and Radic have got through. Radic has gone up to the top end of the circuit. So that's McKenzie and Manavola, sorry, battling it out. Manavola's got back ahead. So where is McKenzie? Lap down to Vasic, but whereabouts is he? Yeah, so it's not all doom and gloom. A lot can still happen in 90 minutes. Here's Jimenez coming under pressure from that of Meiger at the moment. We've still got Class. Class has dropped down to 5th now behind Schmidt and Meiger. So if he has gone for over-pressured slick tyres, waiting for that track to go back to greasy conditions, it may have just hurt him. But if the other 5 haven't, then Class here could have pulled a class act, if you pardon the pun, and could be well away when that rain does come. A bit more light rain coming in 10 minutes. So where is that small shower going to appear? Must be imminent in this race. Meiger still putting pressure on the back of Schmidt. Further down the order, we've got Mezzin, who has now cleared Jimenez. 1.9 now to Benny Varga. There's Patrick Leger trying to gain on Hibbs, who's trying to gain on Gillies. Ben Rook now 3.1 behind Marinic, but up to 9th place. So can be fortunate of that. We have lost another car. I think we've lost Mike Matthews from this race. So I believe Mike is a retirement from this one. It won't be classed as a retirement due to the disconnection issues, and that is why he's obviously not taken to the start of this race. But what a start it has been so far. We've still got an hour and 10 left to go in this. The 48 has had a moment. That is Gillies, who's had a drama. He's well off so far. But the battle out front, Schmidt closing in on Harris, bringing Meiger. Class still in that area of being in contention. And just sticking in with this at the moment. Here comes Meiger looking for a move in this race at the moment. Been a great start to this one. Been a real good battle in this race so far. And let's see what happens as this race goes on. This is all allowing Cardno, by the way, to pull away. Right, the rain, I believe, has started to hit. Let's look on the windscreen. There it is. The shower has came. And the rain is now with us. The track has just gone too fast. This shower will knock it back down into that green, greasy condition before the light rain hits, and then before that heavy rain really comes in a moment. So 22 minutes, 21 minutes effectively of really good racing so far. And let's see what happens here then, as this race is about to continue. We have lost Mike, so there is a bit of an issue in the Discord at the moment. Richie Michelle still not back out on circuit, and again the rain has started to fall here at Indianapolis. Now who does this favour? Is this going to start to show Class's potential of coming through the pack here and just being able, as the track goes back down to green conditions then? Is this going to play in Class's favour in this race? Let's wait and see. We can only just wait and find out who's gone on what strategy. I think we're going to have server issues. Everybody on Ben's screen has disappeared, then come back. We possibly are having some server issues, but not a lot we can do about it unless it is a mass disconnection. We need to go down to 17 drivers, I do believe, that are on the track. That doesn't include myself, because obviously I'm only the spectator. And Vasic in the pits once again. That's got to be for that wet tyre, knowing that that rain is imminent. Are we going to see the floodgates of drivers entering the pits as Schmidt looks for a move on the inside of Michael Harris? Now can't do so. Harris goes very deep though, loses 1, 2. Is he going to lose that third place to Class? Class is going to be on his outside line, and yes he does. Loses out to Class there. Track is now greasy, so the conditions just starting to get a little bit worse. So Vasic in, that's possibly for that wet tyre. And here comes Harris! Oh, he taps Class! The championship contenders make contact, and Class bounces off the inner pit wall. And Harris and Class there just got a little too close. Class is fortunate that's put him in the right direction and keeps going. Doesn't look too much damage on the front of that car. Is the bonnet bouncing around? No, it is not. Class may have just got away with that one a little bit there. Rook's got past Sokolov somewhere in this over these last couple of laps, and Marinich has repassed Vitas now. So Rook is one place behind his closest championship rival at the moment. McKenzie trying to gain on Matt Wright, who's lost out there. And still nobody into the pit lane thus far. There's Richie Michelle's now exiting. That'll be to just score points in this race. He's wasted so much time in the pits. And the 381 of Vasic, who's 2 laps down. He has been overtaken by Radic. And I think by Manavola. Not going to be overtaken by Matt Wright, though. Although he is stationary on the pit exit. Not sure why. So he may lose out a couple of places in this one. Back to Meiger, who's lost out a lot of time to Schmidt in this race. Cardno still got that 5.1 second lead. The raid is going to intensify over the next 30 minutes. Messinio is now there on the back of Harris all of a sudden. And what a race this has turned out to be here at Indianapolis. The rain really making its effect and making itself well known here at the Indy Motor Speedway. Still barely anybody coming into the pits for them wet tyres. They just know they're going to burn through them too quick. But we have got that heavier rain coming momentarily in this one. Mezin's on the back of Hibbs. No, he's not. Mezin has pulled the trigger. He's into the pit lane now. Fastest lap of the race, and he's into the pits. The question is, still with an hour 4 to go, is there any chance that this race could dry out as it gets towards the end? That's going to be the biggest question in this one. As Hibbs has gone off there, is that another indication of how wet this track is just getting? Is that, who's that? I think that's Comore coming to unlap himself. Indeed it is. Vasic has now got going, but has lost out to Matt Wright. Manavola's also into the pit lane. Messinio still on the back of Harris. Harris has let Class back through. And Schmidt has gained a bit of time over Thomas Cardno out front. Gleason gaining on the back of Jimenez. Them two seem to have been scrapping for a while. Benrook's got the gap down to 3 seconds as well to Vitas. He's slowly creeping on in, but this is the closest fight on track. Messinio and Harris at the moment. And what has been a brilliant start to this race. Only half an hour in, still an hour and 3 minutes to go. And will it dry, I wonder, in this race? Will there be a two-stop strategy from some of these drivers? Mezin's going to go a lap down here. But if he's already put the wet tyre on, that could be a bold strategy from Mezin. When everybody else is going to struggle on the slicks, he could be on the right tyre. It's all about right tyre at the right time. And that is exactly what Mezin could be doing here. Vitas gaining on the back once again of Marinic. Benrook now 2.5 seconds behind, so he has brought that gap down slightly. Gleason has got... oh, he was on the back of Jimenez. Jimenez is into the pit lane, so that's where Jimenez has gone. He's got Gillies for company, though. So Jimenez into the pits. So interesting to see that from Jimenez. He's obviously tried to pull the trigger on strategy. We'll see if it works out for him. As here goes Gillies looking up the inside in towards turn number 1. Can't do it, though. Backs out of it. Gap between the leaders down to 3.9. Harris, 9/10 off the back of Class. He's pulled away from Messinio a little bit more. Vitas has lost out to Marinic a bit. Ben's now 2.0 off the back of him. Closest fight then is this one between Gillies and Gleason. Gleason, platinum driver, let's not forget. But what a race this is turning out to be. So far, it's been an absolute belter of a start to this race. It's been really interesting to see what these drivers can do in this race. Gillies just trying to find a way past that Mercedes-Benz to get onto the back of Gleason. Look at the top lot of runners. That track's gone damp and the top 11 all in. And Benny Volga has decided to stay out. So has Gleason and Gillies. Manavola's already done his pit stop. And look at the difference in speed already with the track being damp. But the top 5 yet to pit. Class stayed out as well. So was Class maybe on the wet tyre? Interesting now then. Was Class on that wet tyre because he stayed out on track? This is very interesting. Where is Mezin? He's only just down the back straight, so he's not going to gain too much. I mean, the drivers have still got a long way to come out of pit lane. Jimenez has also pitted. So has Vasic and Manavola then. What an interesting race this has turned out to be. Gillies no longer on the back of Gleason. That is Manavola. Look at the difference in speed in the Ford Mustang. And in fact, look at Jimenez as well on the back of Gillies. Just so much more confidence on that wet tyre. Now, if Class has started on them wets, that may explain why he was slow, just not overdoing it on the wet tyre to just over push it and burn it out. It would have burnt it out, though. It was a warm track. And it would have just burnt it out, and he boxes. I think that's a lap too late. I think he's going to massively get jumped. So for Marinic and Varga and Gleeson and Gillies. Because, oh, apologies for the black screen. I've caught a button there. Apologies for that one. There you all go. Must have caught a button on my key binding there, so apologies for that one. But yeah, Gillies so far and the top 5 in general have all missed out massively. Mackenzie hasn't done his stop, so did he just pit for wet tyres? Heavier rain coming, then it will lighten over that next half an hour. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But Varga in, Gleeson in, Gillies in. I think they've lost out massively. They've all missed out by just that little bit too much. And here comes Cardno. Class has done his pit stop. Schmidt under pressure from Maiger. Cardno actually gained time over Schmidt during the pits. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Harris still in P4, I do believe. Who is that just ahead of Harris? It's the 26. And that is Mackenzie, who obviously didn't stay stationary for fuel. So maybe he's running a different strategy here, just in case it tries out at the end again. Apologies again for that moment. Just caught the wrong key binding button on my keyboard. Yeah, so far here, Class with Marinic right behind him. And who is that just overtaking Class? That is Vitas coming alongside Class. And, oh, elbows out there for Vitas, making sure he got in front. So now there's 2 cars between Ben Ruck and Vitas there. Marinic and Class just went that extra lap, and it cost them in terms of staying in front of Vitas. Benny Varga's only just come out the pit lane himself. Michael Harris has not lost out to Marinic. Sorry, he's just going through the sector times. But 5.2, Cardno to Schmidt. Maiger 7/10 behind. Then it's Michael Harris. And then it's Vitas, Klaes, Marinic, Ben Ruck, Messinio, Benny Varga. No, it's not going to be Benny Varga. It's Sokolov. Then after Sokolov is Patrick Leger. Mezin's up to 12, so he's gained places through that early stop. Then it's Benny Varga. And he's got that of Comore a lap down on him just behind. Gleeson is... no, I don't think it is Gleeson, actually. I think it's the 98. No, Radic is also a lap down, so it will be Gleeson. It's not no more. It's Gillies. Gillies has just gone up the inside. Hibbs is down in 16th. Then it's Jimenez, Comore, Mackenzie still to stop. Vasic. And then Radic, Manavola, Matt Wright and Richie Michel. But what a race we have on our hands here. Class trying to come back at Vita. Started on provisional pole. Started on overall pole, don't forget. And Maiger looking for a way to get past that of Schmidt. The track is now fully wet in this race. Good evening to you, Langley. Hope work is not too busy for you, bud. But it's a shame to not see you out on the track, and actually a shame to not have you in the commentary box, because it has been electric in here so far tonight. The 10-minute wait on the grid while we had our little break session was damp. It dried enough on the formation lap that it was only greasy at the start of the race. The rain had gone. Track went to fast, and then all of a sudden, after 25 minutes of racing, the rain come back. It went to greasy again. It's gone back to damp. It's now wet. Rain's going to ease off in the next half an hour as well. And if it dries towards the end, we could see a 2-stop race in this one quite easily. What a race it has been already. Lots of drama as well. The qualifying was the most dramatic bit of the night. Greasy conditions for the gold. And it was almost an unintentional reverse grid in this race. It was, I think the top 5 was gold drivers. Before then, that of the platinum pole sitter of Schmidt. As Ben Ruck gaining on Marinic, needs to try and get closer to Vitas in this race. Vitas is his closest championship rival. Maiger, P3 at the moment. And then down the order, any other fights starting to resume? No, they're not at the moment. Gary Clarble Cherry Moore in the chat. Must be a bad rainstorm. It's taken out the broadcast signal, he says. Yeah, apologies for that one. That was a mistake on my end. Ben Rook then gaining on the back now of Marinich. Stop-go cleared for Richie Michel. He's back onto the track. And Rook not going to be able to have a look here, it looks like. He's just going to have to sit and wait patiently behind that of Marinich, who is gaining on class as well. Just ahead. Schmidt down to 3.9 to Cardno. Miger in third place is right there on the podium. Harris so far third overall, and he's well ahead of class at the moment. He's got a good one car between him, but could soon be 2 or 3. But Marinich all of a sudden not attacking the back of class, and once again just defending from that of Ben Rook. And there we go, look, back to a shower within the next 30 minutes. And that'll definitely take it with 24 cars going around the track. And at 21 degrees ambient and track temp, that will take it to greasy. So I reckon we will see the slick tyre back in play here. So this has so far been such a fascinating start to this first 30 minutes of racing action here, as Rook has a look now up the inside of Marinich. Can't do anything about it. Cardno's all of a sudden lost that 3-second gap. He's got Schmidt and Miger right with him now. Not only for the overall lead, but for the lead in gold. And Ben Rook looking really racy on the back of Marinich. Got a little drifty though through the final corner. That's lost him a lot of time. And sadly, has to drop back behind. Mezin gaining on Patrick Leger. That gap's 9/10 of a second. But out front, Schmidt is gaining on... He's not. He's passed. So's Miger. They're both through on Thomas Cardno. So has Cardno made a mistake somewhere? Was there an incident? Not sure. But Schmidt and Miger are through on Thomas Cardno here. So what a shame for Cardno, who's leading this race. Now Miger is close to the back now of that of Schmidt. Coming down the back straight. There you go. And not able to do anything about it. Hypertech saying that he loves these mixed conditions. It's provided some great drama. It always does. Mixed conditions. Mezin now really close to the back of Patrick Leger. You can see Leger's got the traffic of Vasic ahead of him. So we'll keep our eyes on what Vasic does in terms of letting Patrick Leger through. And there he goes. Let's Mezin go as well. Miger still close to the back of Schmidt. 0.6 of a second. Really starting to put the pressure on Schmidt now. Following each other narrowly through turn 1. Cardno's dropped off the back. Harris 5 seconds behind Cardno. Mezin's just lost a bit of time to Patrick Leger. Leger's using that slipstream of Mackenzie's Nissan in front just to try and pull him along down this long start straight. Mackenzie stays that inside line. Mezin's giving him a flash of the lights as well. Through goes Mezin and Leger. Back out front though. 0.4 of a second is this gap. We're into the heaviest rain shower of the race at the moment. And this now is going to be the time where you'd like to think the drivers are going to have the worst conditions over this next 20 minutes or so. Just until that lighter rain comes a little later on. And then it's going to start to dry up, you'd imagine, because it's not even light rain, it's just a shower. So it will start, you'd imagine, to dry up. Sokolov gaining on the back of Messino. Rook still sat behind Marinich. He's actually 3.5 seconds behind. Oh, big wiggle for Messino there. Needs to keep that under control because Sokolov behind, waiting in the wings at the moment. You can see the spray not only from the car in front as Messino there, just clipped the outer wall on the oval section of the circuit. Coming back in field now to the final couple of corners. Wet conditions plus a controller is OP. And there we go. Now does Sokolov have that run on Messino to get up into P9. Look at how tricky it is out there for these drivers today. Real tricky conditions for them all. And here comes Sokolov then, pulls to the outside line, looking to have a move up the inside, maybe into turn 1, brakes a little earlier, thinks better of it. Doesn't want to get involved in any dramas just there. Maiger's now over a second behind Schmidt. Harris has brought the gap down to Cardno. 3.7. Cardno has now lost out to Maiger and Schmidt in this race. And we just have to keep one eye on the weather, really. 49 minutes left to go. Everybody bar Mackenzie has done their pit stops. And seeing as they have, just looking at the fuel loads here, where is Mackenzie? Must have been one to fill up early, fill up heavy at the start. So that could benefit Mackenzie in this race. I mean, everybody's got to take tyres, but this is just going to be interesting to keep our eyes on who does what. And if Mackenzie had been higher up the order, maybe it would have benefited him, but it's not so far. Mackenzie's now under pressure from Vasic for 19th and 20th. So let's see what will happen here. Man from Beer, Cummins in the chat. Glad to just be watching with these conditions. Yeah, thankfully it was dry for Pro-Am last night, so even if you was there last night, you'd have had it nice and easy. As Richie Michel back into the pit lane. This is the closest fight on track at the moment, as Vasic has a look but can't do anything about it. Mezin's back within 8/10 of Leger. Sokolov still there on Messino as well. And is this Sokolov's chance to just maybe have a look now into turn 1? They've got Leger and Mezin catching at a rate of knots as well. And he pulls right out, tucks back in. Maiger's now nearly lost 2 seconds to Schmidt, so he's really struggling out there all of a sudden, is Maiger. Sokolov at the moment doing a good job. Maiger's back within that 1 second now, so something must have happened to Schmidt out there. No traffic, so maybe just his own moment. Sokolov looking to really get close now to the back of Messino. Goes to the outside, comes back to the inside. Is he later on the brakes? No, he's not. Thinks better of it. You can see how wet it is. You can see the reflection of the bridge in the puddles offline down the back straight. So these drivers really are having to work hard. They're gaining on Ben Ruck as well. So Ben Ruck struggling in these wet conditions at the moment. And that is not what Ben Ruck would have needed. Not while Schmidt's leading this race and Vitas is P5. The bonus for Ben is that Radic had that disconnection early on. He's got back in, but it just means that Radic's just going to lose a few more points. Could be his... In fact, no, he wasn't here last week, so it will be his drop score. Because he wasn't here for Snetterton. Or was it week before? Possibly week before. Can't remember now. The heavy rain will persist, though, as we still go on. At least over that next 10 minutes. We know there's a lighter rain shower in between the 10 and 30 minute area. So we just keep our eyes on that. As Sokolov again just trying to put Messino under a little bit of pressure, and now thinks of looking up the inside. Bounces off the curb. They're side by side through turn 1 into turn number 2. Sokolov doesn't get the job done. He's not able to through turn number 2. Just probably come off the car at the curb a little too hard out of turn 1. And has to wait another day on the back of Messino. But he's now got Patrick Leger and Mezin for company as he now send one up the inside of turn 5. Runs a little deep. That's going to open the door for Messino. But it'll put Sokolov on the inside line for turn 6. And again, little lack of traction out the corner. This has put Patrick Leger right in a great seat here to possibly take another position or two. This is on board with Leger. The spray, absolutely terrible. And Sokolov does hang on for that position. Leger can't do anything about Messino. Thank you, Tony. And Patrick Leger there just hangs on for yet... Messino hangs on for that spot over Leger, where it looked like Leger got the run. Mezin now flashing the lights of Patrick Leger. Really brave hitting a wet curb as Messino once again hits the outer wall at the same section of circuit. He's done that a few times, just scuffing up that outside part of the car. And the rain's set to decrease over the next 10 minutes. Will we see this dry out? There's another light rain shower, so it has gone back up from its normal shower as Patrick Leger has just driven around the outside of Messino there. And Patrick Leger now up into P10. Here comes Mezin to have a look at Messino. Into turn one, little bit of contact made, Messino into the wall. And let's take a look at a replay of that. Who was that on? I thought Mezin had left just enough room. But let's wait and see. We'll take a look at the replay and see who was at fault for that one then. So this is the overtake of Patrick Leger. Little wiggle there you see from Messino. Bit slidey, and Leger has the confidence to go right around the outside onto the start straight. Beautiful move from the Dutchman. And then you can just see this now from Mezin. Just a little further back. Pulls out that inside line. Messino has stayed close to the wall. Oh yeah, Mezin does just come over ever so slightly onto that of Messino. Battle out front. Cordno and Harris getting close to each other. Battle for second in gold. And for third place overall on the overall podium. Can Vitas get himself on the podium? He's got to try and close the gap down to 4.3 seconds. The more these two fight, the better that will be. Rook has got no pace in the wet tonight. Cordno very wide on exit. This is going to give Harris an almighty run. I imagine Cordno would have had to get out of the throttle. Here comes Michael Harris. Already pulls that inside line on Cordno. Gleeson back into the pits, unsure why. So he's going to lose out a handful of places. And Harris into turn one takes that P3 spot from Thomas Cordno. Easy as you like there for him. Good drive, good move. And now Mezin continues his assault onto Patrick Leger. It was closer than that a moment ago. In fact, Leger's a bit closer to Sokolov now. Benny Volga trying to catch Gillies for a 13th and 14th position. We've got Vasic, who was on the back of Mackenzie, but Mackenzie is now in for his stop. And we have lost Richie Michel from this race after the disconnection. Called it a day. I'm not surprised, to be fair. Him and Mike then retired after their disconnections. We lost 6 drivers, one more, and we would have had that restart. So Gleeson into the pits. This could help Vasic get onto the same lap as him. Radic, Manavola, Matt Wright might actually be able to now get past Mackenzie with that pit stop. Harris has pulled 1.6. Vitas 3.1 behind. What's that through sector 2? It is still 3.1. Klass in 6th. Marinic 7th. Rooks 8th. Just struggling for pace out there. Sokolov 9th. Leger 10th. Mezin 11th from Messino. Gillies. Benny Varga. Hibbs. Jimenez. Comor. Then it's Gleeson from Vasic. Vasic now on the same lap as Gleeson. Comor actually flashing the lights to Vasic there. Gleeson now out the pit lane. Radic P20, Manavola 21st, Matt Wright 22nd. He's got ahead of Mackenzie as Mackenzie's in for his stop. So no real fights to talk about at the moment. And we just have to keep our eyes on that weather, as it is always going to change in this race. And for this man who's had such an emotional race, great move on Klass earlier on to take the race lead, and then led for quite a while. There you can see, look at that, the rain decreasing. But it's now 3 heavy rain clouds on the screen. We don't know what it's going to do. It might just dry. It might just not even rain. How bad is the rain? Well, Cordno's not really in the spray. You can see there, look, just how bad the visibility is. Now imagine him a little closer to the back of Harris. But what a race here at Indianapolis so far. It's been an absolute belter of a day. Radic now only 3 seconds behind Vasic as well, so that's interesting to see them two have a bit of a scrap. And where's Gleeson? Gleeson's just come onto the back straight, so Vasic might not be too far behind Gleeson here, and that could just excite Radic. Yeah, 13.5, so there we go. So Radic could possibly get 18th place out of this race then. Damage limitations for him. Obviously, points are times 1.5 more than their normal value. Gap out front 1.6 seconds. Schmidt, Meiger, Harris. Cardno's come back at Harris a little bit there. That does not look like 2.5 seconds, and indeed it's not. It's 6/10. Has Harris made a mistake somewhere? Because Cardno is all over the back of him once again. Down into turn 1. No can do from them there. The 54 is off. Who is the 54? That is Gleeson, who has gone well off. He's had a wheel issue. He's gone to take the oval section of the circuit. And I believe that looks like a wheel issue, the way that's rolled into. He's returned to the pits. So has Gleeson got an issue there? Well, that'll help Vasic, Radic, Manavola, Matt Wright and McKenzie possibly pick up another place. Cardno very close to Harris. Them three that was fighting there must have all been on different laps to each other, because there's no other close battles. And we have just lost Gleeson from this race. So that is another one down and out, and he did not disconnect. Harris has now opened that gap back up to 1.1 seconds. So keep our eyes on what's happening out front at the moment. But Cardno within a second of Harris right now. So everybody gains an extra place down that bottom end of the field. All of a sudden Radic is now 18th because he has passed Vasic. So he's got that done, and he's trying to unlap himself from Comort, which could give him half an hour to maybe get back onto the lead lap. And look at the weather change coming up. Light rain back to heavy rain. And there is that little window of a shower that there was a moment ago. So that could also come to play an upset in this race, just by drying the track out a little bit. But what a race this has been today. It's Indianapolis, absolutely fantastic. And we go back for our final 3 weeks of racing here. Darren Cup, Pro-Am and Pro. Back on European soil for the European leg to end the season. Imola next week. We'll with the final round of the drop score points as well. So you won't want to miss Imola in a week's time. It's, oh, Cardno there, a little wiggle onto the grass, just as he was gaining a little bit more on Harris. Vitas has got the gap down to 2.2. Class now coming under pressure from Marinic. How Harris would love Marinic to get past here for that championship points to come back his way. There's Ben Ruck in the background, a long way away. Marinic just getting closer to Class, under braking there. Don't know anything about it though. Stays as there was. Patrick Legier gaining. Oh, Patrick Legier gaining on Sokolov as well. So a couple of fights just starting to develop here. But a really good wet race. Don't forget, if you are enjoying what you're seeing here, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you are new, as well as check out in the description below our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Big Apple Logistics. A big thank you to both of them too for their continued support throughout the season. So here we go then. Class 7/10 clear of Marinic. Is that any closer over the line? No, he's actually, Class has pulled out 2 more tenths. And the more these two fight, the more that could bring Ben Ruck into play here. But Sokolov and Leger just look like they're creeping onto the back of Ben Ruck. So Ben Ruck just starting to come under a little bit of pressure now from behind. Matt Wright on the same lap as Manavola, but a long way away. As Marinic now has a look. Class was a little twitchy through turn 4. And now Marinic just getting a little bit closer, riding on board with the BMW driver. You see the Greasy Bandits Racing McLaren just ahead of him. Looked a little twitchy through turn 4. Looks good through 5 and 6. Bod bouncing over the curb a little bit there. Doesn't look as twitchy. Goes onto the grass again a little bit, does Class. And you can see that spray. Very difficult to see anything in the cockpit of these cars in these conditions. But Clash just struggling out there. Lead gap for the lead is 0.8 of a second. Maiger to Schmidt. Vitas going to claw some points back over Bengs. There's 2 cars between them. And Schmidt's going to claw massive points back over the pair of them. And Clash once again just doing what he does. Did he just clip the wall a little bit there? Not too sure. Gap was half a second. Ben's got the gap back down to 4.5 seconds to these two. And if these two just start to have a bit more of a ding-dong battle, then you'd imagine Ben will just bring that gap down a little bit more. Half a second the gap between the pair of them. What is it for Ben Rook? It's now 4.5 as Marinic pulls out to have a look, but it is only going to be a look. It's not going to be anything more than that. So there we go. There's that shower in 10 minutes' time that I'm keen to keep our eyes on, which means the light rain is coming in. That may just, with that light rain, 23 of them circling the track at the moment. No, 22, because we have lost the 3 drivers. Will that lighter rain just make that track go from wet to damp, I wonder, meaning that when the shower comes in, they could quickly get it to go to Greasy. And Greasy could bring back that slick tyre. So could we see a second round of pit stops in this race? Will the drivers risk it for half an hour? That's the question. 79 seconds you lose in the pit lane. So it's a long pit loss at Indianapolis because of how long the pit lane is. Maiger's only half a second off the back of Schmidt now. Let's take a look at that. There they are. Closest fight on track at the moment, Maiger and Schmidt. So just keep our eyes on this weather. Still 33 minutes to go as well. So still a lot can happen in this race. It's going to be interesting to see as they come down the start straight once again. Maiger just in that slipstream of the Honda. There's Michael Harris behind in the background. Well off the pace. Oh, sorry, well off the back of Maiger at the minute. 8 seconds. Ben's got the gap still 4.3 to the cars ahead, but he's opened that gap up to Sokolov. Vitas gaining on Cardno now. That's 0.8 of a second. You've still got this fight for 6th and 7th as well. So just a few gaps just starting to come down. Sokolov's gained on Ben a little bit there, and Leger gained on Sokolov also. Mezin just can't catch the front 2. But this weather, we've just got to keep our eyes on the weather once again. It's going to play its part. Can Class hold on in there for Vitas? Vitas would love to pass Cardno. Sorry, I said Class, Vitas and Cardno. Vitas would love to get past Cardno. It puts another car between himself and Ben. And would just maybe force Ben to just drive a little bit more aggressive to try and get an overtake done or close in at least on Marinic and Class. As you can see them two in the background, Ben Rook does not appear until now. And he's lost a lot of time through Sector 1. In fact, he's got Sokolov just over a second behind him. So Ben is struggling out there right now. Really is struggling. Mackenzie's repassed Matt Wright. And Ben is struggling out there. Let's go on board with Sokolov. See if we can see Ben's car a little bit in the spray. Coming through the right-hander. Ben's good at Imola. I've seen Ben at Imola before in the past. He's very quick there. So Ben will be one to watch at Imola for sure. And Imola's a tight circuit. Hard to overtake. We know how good them BMWs are all around there. So Mezin, and Marinic and a few others could be looking at a good result there. Cairns possibly back. Could be looking at another good result. And here goes Sokolov. His car looked okay, did Ben's, through that final sector, but I wouldn't say great as Marinic looks like he's actually about to make a move on Class. No, he was just having a look. Gap out front back over a second. Vitas has lost a 10th to Cardno. Where is that light rain cloud? When will it appear? On that weather at the top. Here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What a race this has been today. It's been absolutely fantastic throughout the entirety of it. Further down the field, Jimenez 10 seconds off the back of Hibbs. Hibbs 9 seconds off the back of Benny Varga. Leger within 7 tenths of Sokolov now. Marinic still within 7 tenths of Class. Vitas has lost a bit more time to Cardno. And there we go. Rain has gone to light rain now. So we're just waiting for that shower to come into now. With it being light rain and 22 cars circling this track, can they get it down to damp? If they can get it to damp in this light rain cloud period before that shower comes in, will it go greasy towards the end? In which case, will anybody risk and gamble on a slick tyre knowing that there's that heavy rain cloud coming in at the end? So Marinic 6 tenths off the back. Sokolov now within 6 tenths of Ben Ruck. So starting to get closer to the back of Ben Ruck here at the moment. Patrick Leger still with him. Vitas would love to try and pass Cardno, and if Sokolov and Leger got past Ben, that could be huge for the Platinum Championship then. Jimenez still going out there. I thought he'd had a disconnection because that red boss. We're not going to go on board Jimenez at the moment. Going to try and keep that connection down. He is gaining on Hibbs as here goes Marinic. Looking up the inside out of 4. On Class, can't do anything about it there. A lot of rain on the track, so a lot of water for these drivers to clear now on this surface. The gap out front, Migra has lost 8 seconds to Schmidt somehow, so he must have made a mistake. Is there any damage on Migra's car then? Let's have a look. He's running a black liveried car, so it's hard to see. Let's go on board with him and see if his bonnet's bouncing. It doesn't seem to be. Maybe just an off somewhere without hitting the wall. Back to Marinic in Class, side by side through the Triple S's, and as it comes to the end of the Triple S's, Marinic has gone through. Class nearly on the grass, so Class lost even more time there, and now Sokolov and Leger gaining on Ruck as Cherry Moore says length of that pit lane has to hurt if 2 stopping with 20 odd minutes left. It just depends on how quick this track dries out, Cherry, because at the moment if it's wet till the end, in my opinion. It will go damp and greasy, but can them wet tyres that have done almost an hour almost done, would have almost done an hour by the end of this race, can they hold on if it goes to damp and greasy anytime soon? Track's still very wet though at the moment, so it's no chance of that just yet. So that's Class bouncing off the wall once more. Class just struggling now, and this could really get Ben Ruck interested on the back of Class, and if he can put a car between himself and Class, could he then stay ahead and Sokolov take his time maybe to get through? And remember, the racing line could be damp before the track says it's damp, because the track conditions is based on the whole circuit, not just the racing line of the circuit. So offline, where it could be wetter, is where we could start to see, sorry, online, where it's going to be drier, could be where we start to see that damp patches come in. Sokolov very wide out of turn 7 there. Now towards turn 8 off the back straight, hard on the brakes. Ruck now under 2 seconds to the back of Class. Oh, Sokolov, little wiggle. Keeps it together. Leger's getting closer though. And Sokolov still within that second of Ben. Has Ben got any closer to Class this time around? That's going to be the big question. As he brought himself onto the back. He's 1.6. He's gained another 3 tenths through Sector 2. And Ben has just got to get ahead of Class in this one. Vitas back within 8 tenths of Cardno. We'll check out that one in a moment. Currently with this battle of Sokolov and Ben. And Class very, very slow. And that has put Ben Ruck onto the back of Class here. And Ben gets it horribly wrong. Little slidey through the final corner in the midsection. But Ben's gaining on Class. Sokolov gaining on Ben. Leger gaining on Sokolov as they all come across the line. It is 4 for P7. Sokolov pulls out. He's nowhere near close enough to make the move on Ben Rook. Rook's not close enough on Class either. And they all break nice and tidy in towards turn 1. They all get through it. Sokolov, though, having a look on the back of Ben Rook. Can't get the move done. Track still wet. We're into that, still in that light rain shower. Sorry, in that light rain phase. We're expecting a shower any moment. And it's going to go back to light rain and back to heavy rain. So I don't even think we will see the track go greasy. And I definitely don't think we'll see anybody pitting for a set of tyres in this race. Shame it didn't go dry to the end, because that would have made it very interesting to see who stays out and risks it and who pits to get on the slicks. Here goes Patrick Sokolov having a look on the outside of Ben. Ben just driving well at the moment. This is on board with Sokolov. So Clash just made 1 or 2 mistakes last time around. Sokolov just starting to try and put the youngster under some pressure. And his GCSEs coming up just after the season ends, so we wish Ben Rook the best luck in his GCSEs. And anybody else who's got them coming up, their exams at the end of the school year. Best luck to you all. And now that shower has hit, so now the track is just going to dry that little bit more with 22 cars out there. Ben has a wiggle, bit of a snap. Doesn't seem to have cost him too much. He's lost out that little bit to Class. He may have actually cost him big time, because has Sokolov got the run out the final corner onto the start straight? Is this Sokolov's chance to pull out and have a look on Ben Rook? Ben will be getting that slipstream of Class in front. Sokolov tucking in till the very last moment. Pulls out now. Is it going to be late on the brakes for Sokolov? Thinks about it, doesn't do it, gets it stopped. And that's just allowed Class to just pull away a little bit more from Ben Rook in this one. As Sokolov, Ben maybe just delayed turning into the corner, wondering where Sokolov will be. Michael Harris within a second nearly of Miga for second place in this race. So if Class does lose out to these 3 here and Harris gains second place, that'll be huge points for the Gold Championship. Ben just doesn't seem to have any pace here in the wet tonight, which is a shame really. 22 drivers still going. Shower conditions at the moment. Almost looks like it's not raining, but the track is still very wet. And now that it is a shower with 22 cars out there, this should clear some of that standing water as Sokolov slides out the corner. Vitas within half a second of Cardno further forward. This for P4. So keep Cardno on the podium in gold. Vitas obviously running on the podium in platinum at the moment. So keep both of them on their respected podiums. Remember, points are scored for overall positions if you are new to SimPlay Motorsport. Scored for overall positions, but you still get registered as a podium in your respected class. Sokolov now within 3/10 of Ben Rook. Is this where Sokolov is going to start to have a look? He pulls out once again on Ben Rook, but pulls back in and thinks better of it. Doesn't get the job done. Harris within 9/10 now of Miga. Vitas within half a second of Cardno. Then you've got Rook, Sokolov and Leger all close together. And Rook's not far off the back of Class either. Rook has just struggled in these conditions tonight. Manavola trying to gain on Vasic. Mackenzie and Matt Wright not really in this race anymore, sadly, due to their disconnections earlier on. Sokolov still close. Harris within 6/10 now. And Ben's back under a second to Class. So all of a sudden this becomes a real interesting fight between the three of them. Through the S as they go. Rook loses a bit of time to Class through the S's there. Sadly for him. Still 7/10. All of a sudden, Legier's on the back of Sokolov. And is this Legier about to have a look up the inside of Sokolov? Indeed it is. Gets on the inside line, touches the curb, spins Sokolov around. Patrick Lay a day late and $1 short. Is this going to allow Mezin to get an extra place? Well, Sokolov has just got back going. But a day late and $1 short there for Patrick Legier. Let's try and get a replay of that one. Just wasn't to be for the Dutchman on that occasion. And Patrick Legier, you have to say there, just all out of sorts as they come through. Look onto the oval section of the circuit. Look at Patrick Legier. Bit of a dive in these wet, tricky conditions. Bounces off the curb into the side of Sokolov. And that cost Sokolov an extra position in this race. That is very handy for Ben indeed, Chris. Mezin with the fastest lap. That's not going to be beating because that was done in the dry. Harris within half a second. It's no longer half a second. That is a lot closer. So whatever has happened to Maiger has really hurt his car in this back half of the race. Mezin on the back of Sokolov. Would love an extra place. Manavola on the back of Vasic. Down for 19th and 20th in this one at the moment. Still got a shower. Heavy rain inbound in the next 10, so that'll be towards the end of the race. Vasic a little bit wide. Manavola looks to come up the inside. That nearly outbreaks himself, and that puts that to bed. Mezin has just dropped off the back of Sokolov a little bit. That's opened up more than half a second now. There you go, 9/10. Rook now 9/10 off the back of class. Now he's not going to watch his mirrors. He can just try and get closer to that McLaren in front of him, just to try and give himself that extra position or two. And Ben would love that extra position to just put one car between himself and Vitas, his closest championship rival, before tonight started. Didn't have the best of Snettertons. Yeah, we didn't get to show you that on air, but didn't have the best of Snettertons. And is now not having the best of Indianapolis's. I mean, the qualifying, you can't really say anything because the conditions got worse when Platinum came out on the circuit. So you can't judge his qualifying performance. You can't judge any of the Platinum guys' performance, bar maybe Schmidt, who put it P5. The rest of them was 10th or lower, or 9th or lower, something like that. So you can't put their quality performances on them. But the race has been a different story. You have to feel for Radic and McKenzie, Matt Wright, Richie Michel, Manavola and Mike Matthews, who had the disconnection all at the same time. If one more would have gone, it would have been a server reset for mass disconnection. So what a shame for them. And Harris here, gaining slowly on Maiger. Vitas slowly creeping in on Cardno as well. So just as Ben starts to get closer to class, Vitas gets closer to Cardno. 17 minutes to go. Track still wet. Even in these showery conditions, the track just isn't drying quick enough. On board with Vitas, look. Still very shiny all around the circuit. And even if online it might be damp, it's that offline period. There you see, though, a few of the cars just going to that wetter part of the track just to try and cool their tyres down a little bit. Harris really close to the back of Maiger now. Manavola as well, close to the back of Vasic. That's 0.2 of a second. I'll just open up to 7. Harris to Maiger, 7/10 of a second. Let's see if the Lexus can pull that Ford Mustang in a little bit on the back straight. Not long enough for the Lexus to stretch its legs. Through into the Triple S's, there you go. The problem is at this moment, if drivers are now starting to look for them wetter parts of the track, you see Maiger there with an almighty slide through the left-hander, manages to hold on to it well. If they're looking for them wetter parts of the track, then the track must be online, getting to that damp phase of its conditions. It doesn't look it from Michael Harris's POV. Again, Manovola still close to the back of Vasic. Now this is coming towards the straight where Harris could stretch the legs over the Mustang. The Mustang pulls clear though on the back straight, just drops a wheel onto the grass. Didn't lift there, did Migan either, so he tried to keep that as flat as he could, and he has opened that gap up. Look, he gained 3/10 in that final sector. Harris will pull it all back together here though, as the light rain now starts to fall again. Oh, Harris in a slide through turn 1, and that's not going to do him any favours. Ben Ruck was a second behind. He's now 8/10 over the line to Class. They're all still going, or most of them are still going over to that wet part of the circuit to cool their tyres a little bit as the rain falls a little bit harder once again. Wind has picked up as well to 10 kilometres an hour. It was 6 at the start of the race. And Ben Ruck just cannot get close enough to Class at the moment. Harris can get close enough to Miga, just can't get close enough to make that overtake. He's been this close for the last couple of laps now, but then loses it in that final sector. And what a race it has been. Let's get the driver of the day poll up. It's a tough one, but I think the people I'm putting on driver of the day, I think thoroughly deserve this. If you do think it's not the 3 I've put on, then do comment who you think it is. But I've gone for Miga, Harris and Cardno. I think they've drove a really good race. Even though the Platinums could have started to come through, they only had the worst of the qualifying conditions, which is why they wasn't up there in qualifying. But they could have easily have caught them and come through in the race, and they haven't. So I think it's testament to the 3 of them for how quick they've been. Charity event. Oh, so it's an event that a different league is doing, but it's a team versus team versus team battle, or league versus league versus league. So it's, I think it's 4 different leagues are all in this event that Ben did at the weekend. So Ben represented SimPlay Motorsport as a league and a community, and it's basically 4 communities, 4 leagues that are racing and battling against each other for charity. Brilliant event. I don't know too much about it. We didn't set it up, so yeah, but I was meant to take part on Saturday, but obviously with the news I had last Thursday, just wasn't in the right headspace to do so. Now, Schmidt's had a problem, because Schmidt has lost the lead to Miga. There's the calendar for next season, which is, for some reason, come up. I've not even pressed that. But yeah, so Schmidt has all of a sudden had a problem, not seen what's happened, and Schmidt is now behind Miga and has got Harris on the back of him. So what has happened to Schmidt in this race? Mezin on the back of Patrick Leger. Leger's made a mistake and Sokolov has got through. Ruck still within 9/10 of Class. Vitas still within 9/10 of Cardno. Manovola still within half a second of Vasic. And now Schmidt a second behind Miga. Well, that kind of helps Vitas and Ben out by Schmidt losing a place. But all of a sudden, Miga was under pressure from Michael Harris. And now Harris is putting Schmidt under pressure. Schmidt goes to do a late defensive manoeuvre. Nothing wrong with that. Harris going to look to the outside line. Round the outside they go. Nearly wheel to wheel. Little bit of contact. Harris on the inside line over Schmidt. Schmidt will have the inside for 3 and 4. And the Honda hangs on in there. Although Harris is trying to tuck his Lexus underneath. The battle of the Japanese manufacturers. And the Honda comes out on top for now. Leger within 9/10 of Sokolov. Mezin within 7/10 of Leger. This fight between Harris and Schmidt. We've then got Class and Ben Ruck within 6/10 of each other as we come to the last 10 minutes of the race. What a battle to go with 11 minutes on the clock. The heavy rain once again starts to fall. Harris has lost a lot out to Schmidt now. Vitas now 1.3 behind. Ben within 8 tenths, but as the heavy rain falls, this is where Ben has been at his weakest in the heavy rain tonight. Leger's lost time to Sokolov, and that's kept Mezin within 7 tenths. Oh my days, what a race. It's ebbed and flowed all race long. And with 10.5 minutes on the clock, Leger's gone a little deep. That could invite Mezin to have a look at the outside, but it won't. So Leger gets away with that one for now. But Mezin starting to creep onto the back. Vitas within a second now of Cardno once again. Sokolov still looking for them wet patches, but I've got a feeling the track's just going to get wetter, so to cool the tyres back down online. And great stuff to see here from all these drivers at the moment. And the Ford Mustang of Maiga leads here in Platinum. Your Hugh Darren Cup silver leader at the moment leads at Indianapolis for the gold class. And Harris still within 7 tenths of Schmidt. Mezin goes very, very deep. That's going to cost him a bit of time there. So Harris back within 7 tenths of Schmidt. Can Schmidt start to close the gap to Maiga? We've got Vitas within 6 tenths of Cardno. That looks a little bit closer now. Rook just losing a bit of time to Class. So let's go back to this Cardno-Vitas battle. Schmidt within 9 tenths now of Maiga. This three-way fight could go on for the next 9 minutes for the race lead. Ben Rook back within 6 tenths. Cardno very wide out the final run. Jimenez just in front of him. He's going to use that slipstream of Jimenez, as Jimenez may pull out the way just at the very end. Come on, Cardno, says Jamal Clouden. Missed you in the box tonight, Jamal. It's been an absolute belter as Jimenez stays out the way of Cardno and will stay out the way of Vitas behind. Cardno hanging on in there. Gold podium still on the card for him because he's got to lose out to Class, but Class is further back. He's a bit too far off that overall podium at the moment. Schmidt trying to attack the back of Maiga. Rook's as close as he's been. In fact, he's side by side with Class. Has a bit of a slide coming in towards turn number 4. But where's Class gone? Class has gone deep and Ben Rook is through. And Michael Harris will love that from his teammate because it puts Class another car down on the overall list for the points in the Gold Championship. It looked like Ben had just started to drift through turn 3 and Class went deep at 4 and that allows Ben Rook through. There is Mezin on the back of Patrick Leger. Leger 10th, Mezin 11th with that fastest lap when it was dry at the beginning of the race. Mezin can't do, he's not close enough, and look at the top 3. 7 tenths Maiga to Schmidt, 8 tenths Schmidt to Harris. Vitas within half a second of Cardno. Class has got to be careful because Sokolov is only 2 seconds behind with 7, it was 1.9 now with 7 minutes left. Could it fall nicely for Harris in this race if Sokolov can get on the back and past Class in this race? Oh, Vitas hits the wall hard. That'll just have cost him a bit of momentum down the start straight. On the back of Cardno, the 157 has had a moment. That's Jimenez in the background who's around out the final corner. Gillies is still pushing. Indeed he is. He's gaining on the back of Messinio. 7 tenths of a second there. There's Messinio. There's Gillies in his Honda. Out front, the front 3 still going at it. But this is the closest fight on track at the moment. Sokolov's got the gap down to 1.6 seconds between him and Class. Keep your eye on Sokolov. He's on a charge to gain on Class in this one. And Cardno at the moment just able. No, he's gone deep. He's gone deep. He's on the grass and Vitas goes through. And that is Vitas who's going to gain even more points over Ben Rook by putting an extra car between them. And Cardno there just outbraked himself a little bit. Now Marinich is on the back of Cardno. So keep your eyes on that. As now Gillies is looking to attack Mathew into turn 1. This is now the closest fight on track. We'll keep our eyes on the gaps out front. Mezin's still on the back of Leger. But Gillies on Mathew for that 12th place at the moment. What a race this has turned out to be here at Indianapolis. Been absolutely dramatic as Mathew's wide out of 4 into turn 5. Gillies up the inside. Gillies goes through. Mathew's going to try and fight him back into turn 6. He does. Gillies gives him just enough room and Mathew comes back at him and gets through. What a drive from these two. They're a great bit of racing. Class is back on the rear of Ben Ruck as well. That's within 4 tenths. So Ben must have made a mistake somewhere. We'll stick to the Gillies-Mathew fight for the time being. And Gillies can't do anything about Mathew there. Class back on the rear of Ben Ruck. Sokolov within a second of Class as well. And this topsy-turvy race turns upside down once again. Schmidt's back within 7 tenths of Maiger. Is a gold driver about to win this race outright? As Class would love to close that gap to Harris once again, but Ben cannot afford Class to get through because Vitas got ahead of Cardno. Back to the Mathew-Gillies fight. Mathew wide. Oh, nearly loses the Rio. Hangs on to that so well. And Gillies comes to the inside line. In his Honda, he pulls alongside the Ford Mustang. Just a bit quicker in the straight line is the Mustang. But the Honda holding strong. Wiggles under braking. Into turn 1 they go. Can Gillies hold it around the outside of 2? Great scrap from the pair of them. Gillies still holding it strong. And he keeps it there. And what a move. Mathew. Tyres look dead. And he loses out even more as he's had a bit more of a wiggle. Hibbs is way too far back with 3 minutes to go. Schmidt trying to get closer to Maiger. Harris as well trying to follow him. Sokolov now on the back of Class. Class has lost 2 seconds to Ben Ruck somewhere. And that takes the pressure off Ben once again in this race. And Sokolov looking on the back of Class. Class is off! Class is off and through goes Sokolov. Into P number 8. And Michael Harris is gaining a handful of points over Class in this one, who is drifting. I think his tyres must be gone. All over the place is Class at the moment, twitching everywhere. And now Patrick Leger with 3 minutes, possibly 2 laps left. Could be on the back of Class. It's 2.1 seconds. But if Class just isn't in full control of this car, sliding it around, then Patrick Leger could be there in no time. What an absolute beautiful race this has been. The weather has been chaotic. The action has been fantastic. And if you haven't done so, smash that like button, hit the bell to be notified, and subscribe to the channel if you are new, because the drama here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway tonight has been second to none. Schmidt still a second off the back of Maiger, just under now. Harris still not far off the back, but you feel that gap's got to come down quicker. Looks like Class has kept it all together for the time being, because the gap's not really tumbled to Patrick Leger. So this is the closest fight. There's Maiger, there's Schmidt, there's Harris. This could be, what are they lapping actually? 1:45. We could have one more lap to go here. In fact, actually, that was Mesn who did a 45 last time round. Maiger did a 44. So I think we could have one lap to go because he hasn't got time to yield. He's still got to keep it flat scacks. If he starts to yield to get across the line, this might not be the final lap of this race, ladies and gents. There might still be one lap to go in this race. Manavola's on the back of Vasic once again here for P19 and 20. Leger now is alongside Class. He's ahead of Class into turn 1. Whatever has happened to Class, it's gone horribly wrong. And Michael Harris will gain even more points as Class there having a bit of a slide. Doesn't want to do that too much, especially if there's another lap to go, because Mezin could be in for a top 10 here. Do not rule it out. Let's go on board with Class. Let's look at him as the driver. In fact, let's look at it from that view. You can still see the wheel. And look at him fighting the wheel hard. Trying to keep it going where it needs to be. And Mezin is going to be right there. There he is. Schmidt within 9/10 of a second. And I think there'll be one more to go here. Let's wait and see. We'll go to Maiger just in case it isn't. Struggles to get the power down out the corner. He can't afford to yield any time because Schmidt is right there, as is Harris. So here we go. I think there'll be one more lap left in this race. There will indeed. So final lap now. The white flag flies at Indianapolis. Final lap of the race. Maiger's just got to keep it pointed in the right direction. Mezin is all over the back of Class with one left. Gillies is way too far back. Gillies has only just come off the back straight, so it will be a top 10 for Class. But my oh my, has it gone horribly wrong as this race has gone on. One lap to go. What a dramatic race here at Indy. And the Gold Championship leader at 6s and 7s while Harris closes in. Oh, Mezin's hit him in the rear. And Mezin sits and waits for him to get going. And off goes Class. Will Mezin now be able to have that chance to attack? There's a car off. That is the 135 of Matt Wright. He's had a moment at the final corner. Or coming up to the final corner. Battle between your leaders. 9/10 between them all. Can Mezin get ahead of Class in this race? That's going to be the big question. But on with the leaders. Maiger, Schmidt, Harris. All within 9/10 of a second of each other. One mistake from these drivers. And the other one will surely get through. As Maiger into the final sector now. He's got 2 corners left to go. Cannot afford a mistake. Schmidt is right there within 7/10 of a second. Are we going to see a gold driver take an outright win? Maiger comes to the final corner, rounds it now, and he is going to win here at Indianapolis. Maiger in gold takes the race win with Schmidt in second. Harris finishes in P3. Great result for him. We wait for Vitas now in P6. What a result this could be for Vitas over Ben Ruck. Cardno will round out the gold podium in P5. So a great result for Cardno. Vitas 4th, 2nd in platinum. Cardno 5th, 3rd in gold. Marinich 6th, 3rd in platinum. Ben Ruck 4th in platinum in 7th place. Sokolov P8. Patrick Leger P9. So what a drive there from these drivers. Class P10. He does stay ahead of Mezin, who will be P11 with that fastest lap. But Class not on the podium today. Gillies, great drive from him in that gold category. To bounce back. Wasn't feeling confident. Wasn't really feeling the flow of this. But nonetheless, a good P12 in his Honda. Well, that's Jimenez who's made a mistake there. And yep, through he goes. So it'll be P12 for Gillies. Messino is going to hang on in there for a P13. Manavola's just ahead of him for 20th place. Vasic is there as well for 19th. And then we've just got to wait for Hibbs. No Ugoni tonight, no DeCourt. Hibbs is going to come across the line in P14. What a draw. Unlucky for Hibbs tonight, just not the outright pace that he'd have wanted, unfortunately for him. And yeah, just fell shy of the marks a little bit. 3 retirements from the race. Radic overall was 18th tonight. Disappointing night for him. Komor finished up in 16th after an early pit stop. Sokolov, good drive in P8 for him. No overtaking, no Cairns, no Milliston, no Pletasek, I believe. Yeah, that's right. No Skunky. Gleason did not finish. So what a drive, what a race, what an Indianapolis this has turned out to be. We'll see if anybody joins for an interview in a few moments. The driver of the day poll is still live. Come on, my Miger, says Cairns in the chat. And let's just quickly work out drop scores for drivers in this race. So nothing there. That one. And we are joining the comms box. Who's that who's joined us? Oh, it is Miger. We'll speak to Harris. We'll speak to Harris first, who was second in that Gold Championship. Harris, what a result. I mean, a topsy-turvy qualifying that put you all ahead of the Platinum category. And what a topsy-turvy race as well. But you've done really well to hang on to a top 3 overall, not just a second place in class. And it was a really strange race because at one stage he wasn't really near the top 2. Then Miger had a moment, I assume anyway, we didn't see it. That put you then close to the back of him where he was challenging him. Then Schmidt drops back behind Miger and all of a sudden there's a potential race win on the hands. You must have thought anything's going to happen in this last 10 or 15 minutes. Indeed. Also finishing quite the way ahead of class in this one brings you back on them championship points, just claws that way back down from where it looked like class after Snetterton last week, where he looked formidable. You know, tonight it's just sort of been able to bring some points back, isn't it, for that championship heading into that final 3 weeks of the season.
It's just a case of clawing back what I've lost over the weeks. He just became an alien and just demolished us all in the class. So, yeah, it's just going to be about chipping away at the lead. But I'd say we had a little bit of a moment together earlier in the race, but hopefully it's all as good with that.
Well, congratulations. Your thoughts on Imola for next week?
Imola, well, I've raced with yourself around Imola in the Mustang. You know how I go around there, but with the Lexus, I don't think I've raced it too much with the Lexus, but it's got a similar feel to the BM around there, so I know where I can't push, so I'm quite looking forward to that one.
Indeed. Well, congratulations on the P3 overall and P2 in class tonight. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you, mate. See you next week.
And we've got Miger in the chat. Well, first of all, what a win, I suppose, at the end of the day. 90 minutes of absolute pure chaos. You didn't know what was going to happen. But what a drive from yourself to get that race win.
First of all, good evening, everyone. Yeah, I don't know what happened, honestly. My car don't belong here. I'm a midfield driver. I don't know what happened today. Yeah, it was good. First stint, I was kind of hoping the rain would come earlier because I had like 2 slow punctures after like 20 minutes. So I was hoping the rain would come faster. And it did, fortunately. Yeah, after that, it was just trying to do as best as I could. That spin kind of like ruined my hopes. I was like trying to keep up with Schmidt after the rain started. But the spin, I thought like, no, I lost it. And then I saw Harris catching up. I was like, oh no, I'm going to even lose P2. And I haven't sweat that hard in my life. After that, I saw that spin from Schmidt and yeah, I almost passed out of emotion.
It was a tough though. After he'd had his moment, you got ahead for the lead, but It was non-stop to the very end, wasn't it? Because you had both Schmidt and Harris right behind you, keeping you honest. And you know that one mistake from yourself could have just not only cost you the race win, but also possibly second place.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was so tricky. Honestly, I think most of that comes to the rain because I just love rain driving, and I don't even like the track. I don't even know the track too well, but yeah, it worked well today.
It did indeed. We move forward to Imola next week. What's your thoughts for Imola? Obviously, Who Darren Cup as well as Pro. Getting to that business end of the season, especially in the Who Darren Cup for yourself, where championships start to take shape a bit more.
Yeah, Imola, my favorite track of the remaining in the season. Yeah, really hoping it would rain again because those track limits can be nasty at Imola, but lovely track. Hopefully good racing next week.
Well, congratulations on the race win. Enjoy that one, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, guys.
And I've done the drop scores, and obviously the results are all provisional until we post them on the social media or in the Discord. So results as they stand at the moment are provisional, but it is Ben Rook who leads the way, 48.5 points clear of Vitas in this one. So keeps that lead, 32.5 points, apologies, ahead of Vitas in this one. So Vitas only clawed back a handful of points tonight. It was only a 4.5 point difference that he clawed back, so not too bad for Ben Rook in this one. Schmidt stays third. He's on 720, so only 8 behind Vitas. Mezin up to fourth with Leger now in fifth ahead of Radic. All them three just too far away from Ben Rook and Vitas in this championship fight. Marinic is 7th from Mackenzie 8th, Comore 9th, Sokolov 10th. Mike Matthews drops to P11 with McGowan, Overtaker, Cairns, Milliston, Pletasek, Gleeson and Skunky. And then in gold, Class has a 23-point lead over Harris. So a big chunk of points that Harris has clawed back tonight. Hibbs is 128.5 points behind Class. So he's kind of now fell out of that reckoning. You'd have to say there's still a lot of points up for grabs in this championship, but we'll have to wait and see. Cordno moves up to fourth ahead of Richie Michel. Messinio is P6 from Gillies, Manavola, Matt Wright, and Maiga moves into the top 10. With Benny Varga 11th from DeCourt, Vasic, Ugoni, Jimenez, Langley, Rob Smith, Rob Ramsell, and then Gluhak at the bottom. And in the Teams Championship, BAL Racing keep a good, strong lead. Just under 200 points to the Racing Softs with Balkan Esports P3. The Greasy Bandits Racing are in P4 and they aren't far behind Balkan Esports. So really within touching distance of a top 3 position here. Cloud9 are P5. Again, not a million miles behind that P3. Even P2 spot, to be fair. Actually, they're only 7 points difference between Racing Softs and Balkan Esports. So Cloud9 well in with a potential P2 in the constructors here. Balkan Symbol P6 with the Sleepy Lizard, Repsol Racing P7. Balkan OZ Racing at P8. SimPlay Racing P9 from Team KSC Squadra Corsa in 10th. Team Richie Corsa P11 from the Casuals. Quantum Motorsport, Flying Dutchman, Only Momentum Motorsport, and NS Spinners, and then Bearded Racing. I'm going to give my Platinum Driver of the Day. It can only be one man. Schmidt's qualifying put him in such a fantastic position, and he did a great race to win the Platinum category, but second overall. He's my Platinum Driver of the Day, and I have to give my Gold Driver of the Day to Maiga. Absolutely fantastic drive. I don't normally like to give it to the race winners, but I think tonight, given the conditions, is an exception. And Maiga under pressure from Harris for a good 20 minutes or so, then under pressure from Schmidt with 10 or 15 to go at the end. Just a great day of racing. The chat as well have gone the way of Maiga and Cordno. Oh no, Maiga by just 1%. Must have just nicked it at the end, just as I'd closed the poll. So Maiga takes the audience's vote for driver of the day. What a drive that was from the Gold Driver. We'll be back though for Who Darren Cup Pro-Am and Pro next week. All in our European leg as we end the season at Donington Park. We've got Imola, Valencia and Donington to go. 3 more weeks of action here at SimPlay Motorsport before some potential exciting news coming your way for Season 11. But from me and all the team here at SimPlay Motorsport, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.